Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire Lord in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today.
Before I go into my review of Obscura Comics Pumpkin number 1 and 2, I wanted to give everybody an update on the Isis the Beauty Myth comic strip. The Isis the Beauty Myth comic strip's first draft is complete, and it's 68 pages. And it reads more like a manga than a comic book, and I'm really happy with the way it came out because it captures the spirit of 2013's Isis the Beauty Myth and really brings everything to life just like it was in the original story. Now, I'm looking to try to raise funds to produce the Isis the Beauty Myth comic. I want this to be the next comic project I do. So if you guys could head over to the Cash App or the PayPal or the Patreon and drop a donation, that'll help me to be able to get the next SJS Direct comic to everybody sooner rather than later. Now, I was on Nightingale Wednesday Nightmares channel. You should sub to her because her channel is awesome. And she was doing a review of Obscura Comics Pumpkin. And after watching her review, she talked about how the book was up on Kickstarter. And that's when I decided to put in a pledge to get Pumpkin number 1 and 2. And I'm really glad that I did because this is one of the best comics of 2023 and one of the best horror comics I have read all year. Now, Pumpkin has some fantastic art and a fantastic story and introduces us to this Pumpkin character, which really reminds me a lot of the character from the movie Carrie, which came out in 1976, based on Stephen King's classic novel. Now, the pumpkin cover is really one that really just draws you in. You get this really interesting looking character who looks like a jack-o'-lantern, and she's sitting above a whole bunch of pumpkins and some kids who've suffered a horrible fate, like many kids do in horror movies. Now, the Pumpkin book has some really strong story from Garth Mathams and some great art by Keenan Halovic and Viviana DeCharma. I mean, they really did a great job on this book, and everything here is exceptionally well done as related to this bad girl horror character. Now, this first issue introduces us to the Pumpkin character's previous life and alter ego, Paige, who is a bit of a misfit, and she's sitting here with her friend Megan, helping her do her hair as they're out having a evening together. Now, it looks like they're having some sort of sleepover, and Paige is somebody who just came out of a coma and is a bit of a social outcast, and as a bit of a social outcast, she aspires to live her life, and she wants to live a better life than the one she has. And this whole opening sequence is absolutely well done. I love the way we open with Paige basically being in the background in the beginning before we get introduced to her. I really like the way that was done because it shows how Paige is a bit of a passive person and how she oftentimes lets other people take to the foreground of life, something that she's usually doing because she's socially awkward from being held back a year because of the coma she was in that almost killed her. Now, this whole sequence is one that I really like because it foreshadows everything about the Paige character as related to her issues about life, and she talks about how she wants to be mysterious and sophisticated, and it was just a great piece of foreshadowing here, very nuanced, and this is just, again, well done storytelling. So everything here in this first couple of pages basically foreshadows everything leading up to the tragedy that leads to Paige winding up in becoming Pumpkin, and everything here again is just exceptionally well done. I could see this not just being a comic, but also being a great horror movie. Just again, everything here is exceptionally well done. Now, as we go through this sequence, we get Paige, who's looking to just go out here and chill out because she wasn't invited to Chad's party, but she gets a text message from her best friend Megan, and that text message from her best friend Megan leads to the tragedy that leads to her turning into a pumpkin. Now, I really don't want to spoil this story because it's just so well done. This first issue is just absolutely fantastic, and I don't want to go out here and take away money from Obscura Comics because the writers and the artists here, again, did an absolutely fantastic job on this book, and I can highly recommend you go out here and get Pumpkin because this first issue does a great job of showing Pumpkin's origin, and the second issue further builds on everything that happens in the first issue, showing us all of these kids who were monsters towards Paige, and Paige building up towards meting out justice as related to the tragedy that happened to her. So the second issue does a great job of building on the first issue and shows us Chad, the jerk that he is, and her girlfriend and his girlfriend, and basically shows how these are just really just nasty people, and shows us how much of a monster, how these people are more of a monster than Paige actually is, who is a monster. Now we get a meeting between Chad and Paige, who is the pumpkin, and again, I'm not going to spoil the second issue either because this is another great issue, and it does a great job of building on the story of the first issue. And what I love about the writing here of each book is that each book basically leads to you anticipating picking up the next issue. And after reading the first two issues, I can't wait to pick up the third issue when it comes to Kickstarter. The writing here is exceptionally well done. The art sequencing is absolutely solid. The character development is absolutely fantastic. And the pacing is exceptionally well done. I love how they're just building up very slowly towards each character that did Paige dirty, getting their just desserts as related to this, to what they did to her. And this book basically shows us her road to vengeance being a slow one. So I think this is going to happen over maybe 4 or 5, 6 issues, but if they're as rock solid as these first two issues, this pumpkin is going to grow into a very successful franchise and possibly grow into something like a movie or a TV series, because everything here is well done. And I really love the pumpkin design, and I wish that we could get somebody like Loose Collector Collectibles to go out here and make a pumpkin action figure, because her design is very dynamic and toyetic, and I could easily see it being a part of my collection with the Loose Collector figures that I have right now, like Lady Death and Darna and Vampirella, Red Sonja, and Purgatory. I mean, this is just an absolutely great design and a great character and a great story that I want to see more readers go out here and pick up. This is a horror comic you definitely want to go out here and pick up for your collection. You will not be disappointed by Pumpkin. This pumpkin has all the flavors of a great character and a great franchise. I could, again, easily see this comic easily being a movie, and I could easily see it being, again, a book that you just will want to read until the covers come off. This is the kind of comic that if we had it in the 80s, people would possibly be buying this comic like crazy, because the storytelling here is well done. And with a lot of Bad Girl comics, we get a lot of flash, but we don't get a lot of substance. And that's what I like about Pumpkin, is we get the substance. And this pumpkin is one that I would love to see grow as a character as the series goes on. So really, again, I can highly recommend you pick up Pumpkin. You will not be disappointed by this comic. You will basically be eager to see the next issue. And I'm really glad that Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare showed this comic to me. I really thank her for showing me this comic, because I'm ready to go out here and now pick up the paper copies now that I've got the digital ones, and I want to add those paper copies to my collection because I believe this comic is going to be a future classic. Now, if you want to pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on Lulu.com right now and pick up a paper copy for the same price as you would on the 2022 Kickstarter. Now, if you want to pick up the other comic that I've done digitally, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents on Amazon.com right now by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my action-packed fantasy fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, and my other vampire novel, Eternal Night, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers in paperback and Kindle format, such as Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you'd like to see me be able to do more independent comic review videos and be able to get my second full comic out, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this comic review video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, ISIS, Escape from Transylvania. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.